Okay, we're going to start off the season with videos that we did last season but never published. So we're going to do 4 R&D bowls today. I just want to try some things out. The first one is going to be boil in fresh water, see how dirty the water is, and soak it in cold seasoned water. And what I mean by that is like straight out of the tap water. Measure my water and measure my seasoning, stir it up real good. Once they come out of the boil pot, we'll put them directly in cold seasoning. Second one is a traditional bowl that we just kind of mixed up a little bit. The third is a liquid type bowl. I was doing with like just regular seafood bowl. Added some water, put it on the stove, kind of cooked it down, added some hot sauce, habanero sauce, etc. Tried to make it really hot. And then the fourth one, we did a double, triple season soak. You'll see that later on and see which one is the clear winner. Right here we have a triple compartment sink underneath the house. So we'll just pick out all these dead crawfish, sort them out, make sure they're washed real good, and then we'll flip them to one sink, back to the other. If you've got different methods and different strainer pots, shrimp pots, whatever you have that works, a cooler, you just flood it out. Just wash them or rinse them really good. Try to get everything off of them, pick out all the dead. That's all we're trying to do here. Again, I do these type of R&D bowls like this just to make sure I cover all the bases with our seasoning. I want to say I've tried it all, I've done it all, and I know which way is the best way to use our seasoning, the best way that we like to use our seasoning in a bowl. We'll wash and rinse these several times from compartment to compartment. I'll use that strainer. I've since got some strainer baskets to do this in that fit in the sink, which is a lifesaver. So don't be shy. Grab your hands. Put your hands in there. Just grab them up, scoop them up. They'll pinch you, but whatever it is, what it is, right? Just make sure the water runs clear. You want to wash them till the water runs clear. And once that water's clear and you've shaken and rinsed them and washed them real good, that water will be clear. And then you'll be able to go to your next step for the prep method of adding your water and measuring your seasoning in your water. To us, that's the most important part, is measure your water. That way you can measure your seasoning.
Where we want it to be, have a little bit of headspace in here, so we don't want to get them overcrowded. All right, I'm doing 4 different batches today out of a 40-pound sack, doing some experimenting and testing. So see how I got enough room in here for these crawfish? So we're going to measure our water now. I'm going to take these out. So 3 gallons covers them, but they're to the top. So I'm going to add 1 more gallon to them so they have a little bit of space to move and soak. And that's how you measure your seasoning. All right, we just test 1, boiling in plain water and then going into the just cold water seafood blend, right? So 3 gallons of water, 4.5 cups of seasoning, 1.5 cups per gallon. So we're gonna boil in fresh water and then go straight into the cold seafood. Now, one of the things I wanted to figure out that I've never done before is I want to see how dirty this water is after you boil them in just plain water. Never boiled in plain water before. Trying to figure out the best way to boil crawfish. So we're gonna do it 4 different ways today. It's not too bad. I mean, I can see the bottom, but you know, kind of looks like the bayou. Okay, so we've already eaten a few, and the verdict is, well, I got this jet burner in the back. Really, really good with the cold soak. Really flavorful, but we like our crawfish hot. So
I didn't really show it in the video or express it in the video, but these things were really, really, really good. Flavor was on point. Look at the juice coming out of the head. I mean, these things were amazing. The mouthfeel on the tails were completely different. It was almost like eating a shrimp. You really can't describe it, but they were a lot better than the traditional boil that we generally do. And we do something else, and we'll come back to that and show you.
juicy.
I'll eat them all.
So test batch number 1, we took it out of the cold and put it back in that test batch number 2 water just to warm up. Test 2. Knot tied around it, some string, or we can fish this thing out.
So this was my first time recording anything, and I was trying to do this right and do it in stages, but of course it just didn't work out. What I didn't show you, and I forgot to record, was me actually taking the bag out, putting the crawfish in, and putting the bag back in on top of it. And once it came up to a boil, I shut it off. So I apologize for that one. This is the same traditional boil that we normally do. I just changed the order up a little bit just to see what was going on. So we added the sausage in frozen at the end to let it cool.
We got something else we're going to try. Frozen lemon popsicle.
So what that is a quart of fresh squeezed lemon juice that's been frozen and I put in the freezer to use for something. And so while I was doing this, I was like, well, might as well use it for this. It'll cool down the crawfish water and add some lemon flavor. So let's see how it turns out. And like we always do, soak it for 20 minutes and then we'll start tasting at that. Our general rule of thumb is 45 minutes in the soak pot, and that's about where we like it.
So we got our sausage and we got our potatoes and our mushrooms in there. 2 crabs we got at the bayou. So we put that sausage in there last, and that lemon popsicle. So we're gonna let them soak 20 minutes. Then we'll start testing. This towel's gonna be the death of me today.
Batch 2 traditional in the boat right now, but coming up I made a mistake, so I'm also going to dump batch 1 after I reheated it in the boat, and this is what I'm talking about.
So we did the cold soak, then we did the hot soak to warm them up because we like them warm. And so this right here, come out easy. Look at this, just juicy. Super juicy. So far, I think this is our best method so far. You can just tell how much they've actually soaked in and how much flavor they have. May take a little bit more time, but these are amazing. These are good too because these are hot. And it's the traditional way that we do them over here. They also do good. Right out the gate. Super good flavor. But you can tell that they're not as wet as those. They still come out, still good. But these are juicy too. But it's just a completely different mouthfeel on these. It's like they're just saturated.
Yeah. So
Get that liquid fire right here. See how this one works out. Great. Doing these small batches, that don't take long to get back to a boil.
yeah.
All right. Another lemon popsicle. And we soak. Batch 3. After a 20-minute soak. About to test. We test after about 20 minutes. So. This is that liquid that I made earlier.
I actually had a lot of high hopes for this batch, but I don't know why it didn't, but nothing soaked in.
You know, the habanero that I put in there really didn't soak in.
It was crazy too because I used the same amount of seasoning and I used hot sauce and some other stuff into it.
Maybe they need to soak longer.
I really think the vinegar and the hot sauce really deterred the seasoning from going into the bodies.
I don't know.
That's what I think.
Weird.
So guys, if you made it this far, as you'll notice, we don't use onions and celery and all that other stuff in our bowls because our seafood bowl and now our crawfish bowl is a complete bowl. You don't have to add all this stuff. You don't have to add anything else to it to make your crawfish flavorful. You spend the money on the seasoning. Don't spend all the money on all the vegetables. So trust us when we tell you that that's all you need is the seasoning that we have. If you like crab boil, add crab boil. That's your preference. Ours is really low in salt. If you want to add more salt, be our guest. We have customers that add 2 more cups of salt. They add 1/4 to 1/2 cup of crab boil, and that is perfect for them, and that's okay. These blends are made specifically for great flavor, low salt. You can eat 10 pounds of crawfish and not swell up. The full embodiment of flavor without having to spend another $30 to add flavor to your crawfish boil. If you think about it, by the time you buy a dozen lemons, that's $15. By the time you buy a sack of onions, that's $5. By the time you do celery and everything else, you've done spent twice, if not more, on the vegetables and the seasoning, the orange juice or whatever, to season your bowl, however you do it. Add an extra cayenne, add an extra bay leaves, add an extra whatever. You keep racking up the money to where you spend just as much money on the crawfish and as you do on all the rest of the stuff to season it. And we don't believe in that. So as you've seen, we added some Double D, which is my absolute favorite sausage. It's freaking amazing. Jalapeno and cheddar sausage to this, just because I wanted to eat it. Had somebody bring it over, and was like, yeah, we're definitely going to eat that. But this is our double, triple soak, however you want to call it, seasoning it in the water that's already seasoned, go into cold seasoned water, and go back into the pot to warm them back up. And we've measured and used fresh water and fresh seasoning for each one of these R&D. So we're not using the same water, we're not using the same seasoning. We've dumped it every time to make sure that we have accurate results on what we're doing. So we're going to continue to do many, many different types of boils until we get it to where I know everything about boiling crawfish, where when you ask me, I know about it, and then I'm going to have my way, which I already have my way of doing it, and it's fantastic, and it's consistent, and it's perfect every time. So hopefully something in this video, you will learn something. Maybe you can have questions, who knows, but if you do, we're here. Comment, like, subscribe. We have Facebook, we have Instagram. You can get me anywhere, and I'm always available unless I'm sleeping.
Didn't get it on video, but I dumped it out of the cold and I'm back into the warm. So what we had done is we'd boiled in seasoning, we cold soaked in seasoning, and now I'm going to warm them back up in the warm seasoning. So let these sit for 10-15 minutes and see how they do and if they're any different than the first test batch. After the second soak.
Alright, my last one done.
Alright, see how they are. Second soak and double seasoning.
Got the boat over there?
They're worn. Excuse me?
You want the boat over there?
Mm-mm. Right. Freaking so juicy. Nuts. First one was better.
I agree.
Just boiling in salt water?
I agree. Was it salt water or just regular water?
I mean, just fresh water.
Oh, you said salt water.
I know, but I was originally going to do it salt water. But I decided just to do it in plain water. So, the first one's a clear winner.
I think so. But I think the cold water, like putting it in the cold water, I really think that does a big, huge difference.
Yeah. Well, cold seasoning.
Yes.
I mean, they're still juicy as hell and still got flavor, but they're not as good
On the first batch. But not as bad as the third batch. So my bucket already is full from the crawfish ate too fast. So we gotta eat this.